There we go.
Something non sequitur. Oh, hello there. I didn't see you come in.
Hello!
Thank you for joining us, wherein we discuss our 157th episode of the Drunk Doctor Who podcast.
Our 157th and final episode, April Fools. It is the 1st of April 2025.
That's today.
Yeah, alright.
Jump in your TARDISes. Travel back in time.
To 1989.
Gaslight.
Yep. This is Gaslight. Alright.
The confusing one.
No. Ghostlight.
Oh, Ghostlight.
I think I've been calling it Gaslight all week. Ghostlight.
Ghostlight.
It's Ghostlight, sunshine. I was smoking crack on the name. Alright. I'm Hatter. This is Holden.
Hi, that's me. What are we drinking today, Hatter?
Rum.
Rum.
Captain Morgan rum.
I'm drinking a seltzer,
Ghostlight.
buddy.
Do. Alright. Okay, 3 episodes. Should have been 6.
3.
Should have been 6. Aired from October 4th, 1989 to October 18th, 1989. This is the DVD, although we watched it on Blu-ray. But it's good to have the DVDs. Ghostlight. Alright. Okay. You might remember from previous stuff, I have talked about this particular serial as the most confusing one for Doctor Who ever.
We foreshadowed it.
Yes.
This is the episode.
Yeah, and it's darn confusing. Things happen, weird, wild, crazy stuff just happens, and you gotta watch it, or at least I had to watch it about 5 times before I understood it.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's a real clip of pacing. It's fun to follow. It was a fun episode.
It was like boom, you know, especially that last episode.
Yeah, especially.
Okay, how many deaths do we have?
An amount. Only wrote down 2.
Alright.
But then there's 2 more. And then...
Okay, we're looking at the Preacher.
Oh, yeah.
The maid that gets zapped. The other maid he dismembers. Light himself. The mother-daughter. And the inspector. And...
Oh, yeah.
And, no. Survey ends up being taken by Control.
Yeah.
And she chains him up and locks him in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So much of this is just not explained at all.
Totally
Period.
missed it. I was looking down and writing something down. That's probably why I missed it.
Okay.
I didn't write down a lot. Or the death count, even.
Yeah, you may not have known what questions to ask.
7 people died?
Yeah.
6?
7 if you include Light.
7.
Okay. So,
I like Light. He's a good villain.
yeah.
He has quite a range.
What are you drinking?
Seltzer, buddy.
Buddy?
Buddy.
Yeah, the problem with Light is we don't see him until the last episode.
Yeah.
Literally, the very beginning of the last episode is the first time we see this bad guy.
We keep seeing his namesake, the Light, his aura, but he doesn't actually make an appearance until the last episode.
Okay.
And then we see a lot of him.
Yeah.
And which is great, because he's a great villain.
Yeah. How much did you understand before I explained it to you and this out there?
So I totally missed the whole, what's his name? Navigator?
Okay.
The villain?
Light, Survey, Control.
Survey, yeah.
Survey, Josiah Smith,
I missed that part, like how he was trying to do the assassination plot and that he was one of the original alien members of the ship. And
hence the name Survey.
basically that whole villain, I missed his entire villain arc.
Well, you didn't understand what he did or what he was trying to do, but you understood he was a villain. He's very upfront about that.
Oh, yeah. And he kept talking about the crown's...
The Crown Saxacovi or whatever.
And then he shows a picture of the
Queen Victoria. What? Saxe Coburn.
Yeah.
For the younger Anglophiles out there who may not have known, the royal house of the United Kingdom changed their surname right around World War I because they were fighting the Germans, who were their cousins, actually. Same for the Russians, also cousins of the Germans. A lot of the royal houses of England were very into bread. So they changed from Saxe Coburn to Windsor, which is what they go by now, because it was too German sounding when they were fighting the Germans. They wanted to get something that sounded more English, you know? So yeah, Victoria's surname would have been Saxe Coburn, not Windsor. Let's see. All right. Okay. Episode 1. The Doctor and Ace show up at a house. Ace goes out, and the Doctor's kind of testing her. He's trying to get her to describe the place.
Yeah, it's kind of cruel that he brings her to...
This season, in previous seasons, he's a lot nicer to Ace. Starting around mid of last season, when they were trying to make him more mysterious, he becomes a bit of a jerk to Ace. A lot.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, you know, in this one, he's very short with her. Yeah. It's like, go get it. But, okay, and she runs off and does it. Uh-huh. He brings her to a house that she knew was haunted back in 1983. He's trying to get out of her what happened there. She doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want to be in a haunted house at all. She especially doesn't want to be in this haunted house. But he tries to crack her and get out of her what happened. And that's why he brings her there. Because he also wants to find out what this evil is.
Yeah.
And so this is 1883, 100 years, I believe, before we find out later she burns it down.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So they're wandering around the place. They find the really big house, right? More of a manor. They find a little silver snuff box.
Yeah.
With RFC on it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And
for each fire chasms. Fireman dungeon.
The Doctor pulls out a Geiger counter, and it's radioactive.
Why was it radioactive?
It's probably a side effect of the power of the ship.
There's a bunch of light in it.
Yeah.
His aura was in the smoke box.
Oh my gosh, there's so much that's not explained in this. Did you see the movie Alien?
I've only watched Alien and Aliens.
That's where you should stop, right there.
Okay.
Well, there's one later on, like Prometheus.
Oh, that's one of the newer ones. Yeah.
It's one of the newer ones. Nothing in that movie is explained. You could come out with a list of 500 questions as to what happened in that movie.
So you're supposed to watch all the movies leading up to it?
No. Well, yes, but having seen all those other movies, you still have a list of 500 questions because there was so little in that movie that's explained. That's like this Doctor Who serial because so much of it is not explained. You have to watch it a bunch of times to put it together or get an explanation like I gave you and Lissa.
Yeah.
And one of the things was, what the hell was it in the snuff box?
It's a good thing we have all these YouTube, exposés now. Because my favorite thing after watching a TV show or a movie I didn't get is just to type into YouTube, yada yada yada, ending explained.
And somebody's explaining.
They go through and they explain everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So this guy.
They didn't have that in 1989.
No, they didn't. And the internet was so nascent at that point. That your better bet was reading the Doctor Who magazine for an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. So the Doctor and Ace show up. They find this radioactive silver box, silver snuff box, and then a hunter with a wasabi spear comes up behind him. And the doctor's like, "Oh, wasabi spear, very nice, very deadly, huh?" And the hunter, the famous explorer,
R. Finn Cooper? Is it that one?
right, RFC.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, because it was
Redgrave or whatever.
Reeve. Red.
No, I think he later brands himself into Redgrave because he went bonkers and no longer wants to be Finn Cooper.
That's like the plot of a movie I saw recently.
Identity?
Maybe? Or was it Memento? Memento?
That's another movie you have to go to the internet to figure out. Okay, so...
Weird timeline stuff.
Yeah.
Because Ace had already been there to that house in the future, and then they travel back in time. And then you have all these things frozen in time. We'll get to that.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's just very hard to follow.
Okay. So, like I said, this should have been 6 episodes, not 3. And you can tell the ending is very rushed because that last episode's like boom, 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 boom. You know. Kind of like the Wheel of Time books. If they had left the one book. Book 12 is one book,
gosh.
And not 12, 13, and 14.
And the print was like that.
Yeah, it would have had to gone from point to point to point to point to point, just like that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad the guy who took it over and wrote the 3 books did it, because that was the way to do it. Okay, so Ace doesn't realize where it is yet. She doesn't realize it's the house she burns down 100 years in the future. But they're kind of wandering around. They bump into the hunter. The hunter says he's looking for the other guy.
Right.
The hunter leads them into a room to put up his spear.
Yeah.
Then he grabs a gun. And he points it directly at the doctor.
Big old gun.
Yeah, Ace tries to help the doctor. She kind of flings herself at it, but the hunter dodges and she kind of falls over the table. Yeah. You have no earthly idea why this guy's about to shoot the doctor. Yeah, we have no earthly idea that he's completely off his rocker at this point. He's looking for this guy, this really famous Redgrave guy or whatever, and
the master of the house.
Right. He's supposed to be the master of the house, but he hasn't been seen in 2 years. And finally, the doctor manages to open the curtain to the window.
Right.
And when that happens, he sees, and he goes, "Oh, there you are, Redgrave. There you are. Good to be here." And it's
the mirror is a reflection.
Right, it's him. It's see himself in the reflection in the window pane. All right. In the meantime, a preacher shows up at the house and demands, we've got to make this particular figure as oafish, buffoonish, and overbearing as possible. Because the underlying tone of the whole serial, we had the one about racism. This one's all about evolution.
Yeah. And
you would be no better than a closed-minded monkey if you didn't believe in it. Mm-hmm. And eventually the preacher gets turned into a monkey. Which we don't know how the hell that was done. That's another question.
Something about molecules changing in the house and
evolving, but he devolves. Well, to be fair, so does Survey later. It's all a mess. How did Survey do that? I mean, you eat a banana in that house, you turn into a monkey? What? That's crazy. Like I said, so many things not explained. You're just supposed to roll with it and figure it out. It's like a crazy game of Clue.
Yes. Yeah, I like that. Big house.
Okay.
It's very ethereal, alien, like the Marfalites, and then you got like Cthulhu-esque vibes, like with the guy seeing the light, and then forgetting who he was.
Yeah. Okay, so at the beginning, it's like 10 minutes till 6. This preacher shows up, and he wants to talk to Josiah Smith about his theories about evolution.
Right.
Okay. So he gets shown to the drawing room, and all there's a staff of like 3 maids, and they are all scurrying out the door as fast as they can. We shan't stay here another minute, because nobody stays in that house after 6 because that's when the evil comes out. So 6 o'clock hits. The bells chime on the grandfather clock.
Yeah.
Some cupboard doors open up, and 4 maids come out of the cupboard. And you go, are they robots?
Dangerous.
Or what?
Yeah,
what are they?
Out like clockwork.
Yeah, but it turns out they're not, because the guy tears one of them apart later, and you see the bloody arm.
Yeah.
Gross. Yeah, they're not they're not robots, but they must, I guess, hibernate during the day, because the whole staff does, because Josiah Smith is super sensitive to light.
Yeah.
Okay. At least
becoming less
now.
so.
Yeah.
He's evolving from the husks.
Yeah. Okay. So Josiah Smith, the preacher gets angry and he comes out and says, "I've been ringing you since before 6, and now it's a new set of people. It's the other 4 maids, younger and thinner than the ones that left.
Oh yeah.
And the head lady in the black.
Yeah.
And what was her name at that point?
Mrs. Pritchard.
Mrs. Pritchard.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm trying. Did she have a first name?
Not that I got. She might have.
Okay. She's the head lady. Turns out she's the lady of the house, but she doesn't know it because she was hypnotized.
Ma.
Ma.
I think she's referred to.
Okay. So then you have a young lady and her uncle. The uncle's wearing very, very dark pilot's glasses. Like super crazy dark.
So are George Pritchard and Mr. Smith, Josiah Smith, the same person?
No. George Pritchard is Redgraves.
Oh yeah. So he's... Oh yeah.
Also that other name he has. But once again, his cheese and his cracker are not even on the same continent, okay? Just cheese fell off the cracker forever ago. Okay, so eventually, this young lady, about Ace's age and size,
Yeah.
the niece. In fact, Ace wears some of her dresses later on.
Gwendolyn.
Yeah, Gwendolyn. She shows up and says, "Oh, my uncle will be here in just a minute. We're so sorry. I just had something I had to attend to." And they're in the drawing room. Now, okay, so the hunter's about to shoot the doctor.
Yeah.
And then he gets caught, right?
Yes.
With looking in the
mirror.
No, not
Or
the mirror.
reflection.
The reflection in the window.
Yeah.
And Ace is like, "Hey, we should go." The doctor's like, "He needs help. Go get help." She's like, "I think we should just go." And he's like, "Ace." Like I said, once again, not being very kind to Ace. She runs to the door to go get help, and there are some people there. One is a Neanderthal named Nimrod, which is hilarious, despite
Mighty Hunter.
Right. In the Bible, Nimrod was a mighty hunter.
Now it means, like, oh, you're a Nimrod.
Not that bright. Which I guess for Neanderthal kind of fits, but
Do you know where that started? With the Bugs Bunny calling Elmer Fudd
a Nimrod.
Nimrod, ironically, like he's a mighty
Yeah.
hunter. But people didn't know what that meant, so they thought it was just an insult.
Oh, I like
It
that.
means you're dumb or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's a town in Texas named Nimrod.
Oh.
Yeah, if you go down Highway 87, you'll bump into it.
Good
All
deal.
right. Okay, so
Localizing the podcast.
there you go. So Nimrod, a Neanderthal, shows up. Mrs. Plinkett or whatever, Pritchard.
Yeah.
She shows up. Gwendolyn's there, and Mrs. Pritchard grabs Redgraves.
Right.
Right. puts his arm behind his back.
Very rough with it.
Yeah, very rough with him. And he's like, interior, I don't want to go into the interior. No. And they throw him in this room. And next time we see him, he's got a straitjacket on.
Yeah.
And the little silver snuff box is right near him.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor and Ace are like, you didn't have to be so rough with him. Yeah. And they're like, and everyone else is left. Nimrod is one of the best characters in this because he's got the most humanity out of them.
I would not have reacted the same. I think if someone pointed a gun at me, I'd be like, yeah, I'll rough him up a little bit.
Possibly. Well, they knew he was disturbed.
Get them under control.
When they saw him look and think that he's the guy he was looking for, the doctor knew he was not all there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Armed and dangerous, though.
Yeah, armed and dangerous.
Take him down.
So Nimrod explains what's going on. And he goes, would you like to join our other guest in the drawing room?
Yeah.
And, you know...
The preacher.
And he explains that sometimes the hunter guy gets out,
right,
and he can sometimes be violent, and they've got to keep him contained for his own good.
Is it at this point that Ace is really questioning like where they're at?
Yeah.
It's familiar to
Ace is starting to figure it out. Yeah. Especially when they finally get down into the main hall at the bottom of the stairs.
Yes.
But she doesn't do it quite yet. Not till later in the episode, she realizes it, and then she rushes into the basement because she knew the basement was there from when she was there back in 1983. 100 years later, but 6 years earlier in her life.
Why does she rush to the basement?
Because it's probably where she felt the eagle.
Oh, because she's suspicious of it being familiar.
Right, she knows now where it is. And the basement might be where she started the fire.
Okay.
Okay. So, anyway, the doctor, Ace, go into the drawing room, led by Nimrod, and at this point, Gwendolyn's in there with the preacher.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now Ace has been wearing this this top that doesn't get down to her breast, but it shows a bit of shoulder. I think both her shoulders are exposed, and this is the 1883. The hunter guy doesn't react well to it.
Drunk Doctor Who after midnight.
The hunter doesn't react well to it, and the doctor's like, well, she's from a savage people or something.
Yeah.
And the preacher doesn't react well to it. The preacher's like, Josiah Smith, I presume, at the doctor.
Yeah.
And he's like, I see, you are. All his stories are true. You know, you come and bring your wanton hussy and parade her before us. And the doctor's like,
he wants to be confused as the...
Right. Yeah, at this point, he wants to be confused for Josiah Smith so he can get information about stuff. So Ace starts to pipe up, and the doctor's like...
Keeps questioning.
No. Yeah. And then Gwendolyn pipes up, and he's like, no. So Nimrod goes off. He goes down to the basement, and starts worshiping. Okay, so he goes in. He goes into the basement, and we skipped to the very beginning where they were feeding something in the
took the tray rope.
Yeah, the iron, man in the iron mask kind of scenario.
Yeah. You see the eyeball.
Yeah, and took the tray
through the people.
Yeah. So Nimrod goes down to the basement, and I know I'm telling a lot of this. It seems like it's out of order, but it's mostly in order for the visuals.
Yeah.
Yeah. This could have been, like I said, if it was 6 episodes, it could have slowed down the pace. They could have explained a lot more, because there's very little explanations of anything, and we could have done some other interesting stuff.
Right.
But it's all boom, 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 boom. So he goes down and he opens up this thing that's a spaceship. You're on the interior of a spaceship.
Surprise.
Inside the basement. And he starts worshiping at this deal with the light that has all these rod controls in front of it.
Yes.
Okay. He's doing that, and something comes up behind him, hits him on the shoulder, hits him on the head, knocks him out.
Yeah.
No, like right here, boom, knocks him out.
Walking stick kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Poor Nimrod.
Poor Nimrod. Hey, he's one of the few survivors. All right. So, okay. So we go back to the doctor, talking with the preacher, and the preacher's like, well, you and your horrible theories, when are you going to defend these and these stuff? And the doctor's like, and then Gwendolyn's like, hey, I think there's some confusion here. And the doctor's like, no. Tell you what, our carriage broke down, and my friend Ace doesn't have any proper dinner attire. Can you get her some?
Yeah.
So Ace and Gwendolyn's like, yeah, sure. So they go off to Gwendolyn's room, where you get the feeling we missed a scene there. Because when they go to Gwendolyn's room, they later on hear the screaming of the hunter after the silver snuff box opens.
Yeah.
He screams, and they're in tuxedos. The men's tuxedos. They're not in dresses. And you're
They're
like,
playing dress up. They're having fun.
yeah.
Having a good time.
But once again, where's the scene of, oh, I don't want to try a dress. Let's do this.
It's not appropriate.
Yeah, it's not
Comes
appropriate.
off camera.
But let's try it. And why are they in tuxes? Why in this house where the men are so much larger than the women, were there tuxes in Ace's and Gwendolyn's size? All right.
Just have a wardrobe on hand.
Yeah.
It's a fancy house.
There's once again, there's so many crazy questions on all this, But anyway, so the doctor is talking to the preacher guy, and then finally, Josiah shows up.
Yep.
And he's got his dark glasses, and he says, oh, my apologies, all this stuff. And he's like, well, who are you? I'm the doctor, who are you? And then finally, the preacher realizes that the doctor is not Josiah, that Josiah is Josiah. And then the doctor gets into it a bit with Josiah, talking about evolution.
Yes.
Just for a bit. Then you hear the screams. Well, first you see a silhouette in the dark, and then you realize it's the hunter in a straitjacket, and the guy's mind is gone because he saw some crazy light or something, and the snuff box opens up, and the crazy light's coming out of it. Why? We never get an explanation for that.
Nope.
He screams. And that's when Ace and Gwendolyn run out in tuxes to try and help him. They're not the doctor and Josiah run up there too.
Right.
The doctor tries to force his way in, but is very much held back by Josiah and Mrs. Pritchett, Pritchard, by Mrs. Pritchard, like just physically restrained and held back and not allowed to go in there to help him. He's like, look, I'm a doctor. And they're like, nope. This is right about when Ace. There you go. Where Ace figures out that this is the place because she felt the same evil.
Right.
So she runs. She's like, doctor, this is it, isn't it? This is it. Why'd you bring me here? This is horrible.
Gotta face this on my own time.
Yeah, he's like, you need to face it. She's like, I want to face my fears. And that scene, it's like, don't you have things you hate?
Yeah.
Burnt toast, cruelty, You know, yeah, it goes through a good litany of things you should hate, except
Burnt
toast. Yeah. But and she's like, they're kind of back in that hunting room, and she's like, but I'm supposed to face this on my own. You know, you shouldn't have brought me here. This is a horrible surprise, because apparently you promised her a surprise. Another thing we don't see.
Yeah. Upsetting surprise.
Yeah.
It's one of your biggest fears.
Yeah, surprise, your biggest fear is dying, so we're going to stick you in a coffin for the night. Yeah, no, not good. It's full of phobias and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm. So she runs downstairs.
Sorry, I got up at 5 this morning.
Oh man, is that when your shift started?
Yeah.
When'd you get off?
6 to 2.
We could have done this earlier.
Yep, we could.
Oh, okay.
That's
If
what
you
I
want
texted.
Oh, okay. If you ever want to do it earlier, let me know.
Okay.
All right. That way you're not falling asleep.
That's fair.
Okay. So, yeah, and there's a lot of comments about Gwendolyn and Ace being in those tuxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ace runs down. She suddenly seems, well, I've been here. I remember this place. So she knows that there's a secret panel with an elevator lift in it. Lift. And she opens it up, and she goes in, and she goes down, and she goes down this dark hallway until she gets to the spot where Nimrod is laying on the floor, knocked unconscious.
Right.
She's like, oh, poor Nimrod. And she's just about to help him. And then she hears this creepy voice. Really low, creepy, gravelly voice. And it's like, there's a new smell down here. Creepy. I can feel the pumping of the blood, the red hot blood. And it's like, this is not something you want to hear out of the shadows.
No, definitely not.
And then 2 insectoid but man-sized things start coming towards
like a
Ace.
praying mantis-looking thing.
Yeah, and maybe a caterpillar, or not a caterpillar, a grasshopper or something. Yeah, they look really alien and really ugly. They start coming at her. And end of episode 1.
Ratkin. What's
Oh yeah, she could call Ratkin. Get the Ratkin. And you asked me earlier, what does Ratkin mean?
What is a Ratkin?
I don't know, maybe evolved from rat kind? No clue.
Maybe.
Okay, so episode 2, Nimrod wakes up just in time to help Ace.
Of light.
Right. He has a lantern.
The sleeping one.
Yeah. No, don't wake to sleep. Okay. She they come back down, I think, later for another reason. But he's got the lantern.
Yeah, the ghost light.
Yeah, the ghost light. And he's holding it and keeping the creatures at bay.
Yeah.
Okay?
Their eyes are sensitive to light, just like
Josiah's.
Josiah, yes.
She grabs the cane, the walking cane that knocked him out.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're safe as long as we have the light. And the gravelly voice is like, no more light. And the light goes out, and then they knock it out of his hands. She starts to threaten them with the cane, and then she says, I'm going to break this thing. She's going to the altar of light behind the controls. Unless you let us out, I'm gonna break this. And Nimrod, because he was worshiping it earlier, obviously does not want it broken.
Right.
But Ace and Nimrod are fighting over the cane. Nimrod trying to prevent it from being broken, and she threatening to break it. And fighting over the cane, they accidentally pierce the stained glass window thing, behind the controls with the light. And he's like, no, the sleeper must not awaken. Not to quote Dune here. But to be fair, this did come out after the original Dune.
Oh, cool.
The original Dune was like 86. This was 89.
Yeah.
So the line, the sleeper was the sleeper, must not awaken, or the sleeper will awaken, or the sleeper has a weekend, was already in the cultural zeitgeist.
Yeah.
So steam starts coming out of that stained glass window. At that point, an alarm goes off. Or not the alarm yet.
It's because, yeah.
So the doctor and Josiah and I think the Pritchard lady all run down there real quick, and the doctor's like, Josiah's like, no, years of work may be ruined, and you're like, okay, this is an experiment or something. You thought Josiah was indwelt, right?
Yeah, he's possessing the
Possessed, yeah.
He's just molting from. Where do you get the new bodies from?
How does a grasshopper shed its skin to get a new body? Yeah, it eats enough so it can do that, I guess.
I guess so.
Okay, so you're thinking, okay, this might be some sort of experiment or something. The doctor's like, Ace, what did you do? She's like, it was an accident.
Yeah, she leaned on the control panel with the different beams of light.
Yeah, well, no.
Sticks.
But no, Josiah's like...
That's where the steam started coming out.
Well, that's after they broke the thing.
Yeah.
But then that happened, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But Josiah's like, no, years of work ruined. And he's like, that's my ace. Doctor does that. So they managed to stop the steam by putting, looks like kettles. Small kettles. Or spittoons over the steam power
like
thing.
a witch's pot. And how does it just stay there? Let's go.
Well, if it's a spittoon or a kettle, it's got a handle that you can hook on.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's a good point.
Alright, so turns out, we find out later, that Josiah used to be the husks
Yes.
that attacked her. We don't know why he gets to evolve like that. We don't know what his race is, his alienness, or whatever it is.
Because the other two aren't that we know of.
Right. Light is just light, and control is just control. Although
Light
control
does change though when he's
right. Well, we'll get there. But yeah, you could argue control. Was she originally humanoid? We don't know.
Oh right, yeah.
But she doesn't seem to have a husk. But she can help. She can use her mind to control the other husks the exact same way that Josiah can.
And to put out a light.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's, once again, lots of questions not answered. We don't know if she started out, or what happened to her husks, or if she was of a different alien race than he was, because they seem to be vastly different from light.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't know. But anyway, so Control's trying to get out. Josiah doesn't want her out, but she finally does manage to get out, and then Josiah, run! And the doctor, Ace, Nimrod, and Josiah all get to the elevator.
Yeah.
And coming behind them is this shadowy clad creature that we don't know the name of yet.
Mm-hmm.
But he starts shouting it at her, Control. And you're like, Control? Okay. And she grabs at the doctor through the cage on the elevator.
Yeah.
And tries, no, I want my freeness. I want my freeness. And all that. And he goes, and Josiah's like, no, hits her arm, shuts the door. They go up in the elevator, and he breaks off the handle.
Strong guy.
Yeah, breaks off the handle so you can't go back down. He's like, let them rot down there. Because I mean, we said they were feeding her before. Now there's no way to go down there and feed her.
Navigator ends up crawling up the elevator. Control. Oh.
She ends up crawling up the elevator shaft and trying to get out by moving the door. Okay. We don't know what she is at that point. We don't know. She was kept in basically a like I said, the man behind the iron mask kind of
We
sell.
thought she was the antagonist.
Yeah,
And
but it was odd. She was
Mr.
given
Smith.
every day. She was given a full breakfast, and the London Times.
Oh yeah.
The weirdest. Why?
Just to keep up.
Right,
with
right. Why would somebody you're trying to who can't talk and you don't know anything about them or anything? Why would they get a copy of the London Times? Who the hell is this person?
How else would
And
you
we don't
know
know.
what's ladylike and what's not ladylike?
Yeah. Okay. So, then Josiah and all the guests go to dinner.
Hmm?
And they're sitting at dinner, and finally the preacher's like, I want you to defend your evolutionary theories. And the Ace is like, well, we get a lecture with dinner. And the doctor's like, well, in this time frame, Darwin's evolutionary theories completely upended scientific thought, which was very true in Queen Victoria's time. Because the Origin of Species, don't forget the rest of the title, or I'm not going to remember it exactly verbatim. I can just remember it kind of paraphrased, but or the advancement of superior races in nature, something like that.
Oh.
Yeah. They don't put the subtitle on anymore because that helped create and justify the Holocaust. Because in some ways he meant species, but the Germans took it the wrong way. And it's just there's no way around that. But it was the theory of evolution that helped justify the murdering of the Jews, the Gypsies, the gays, the rest of the ones that the Nazis killed, because they considered them subhuman. They didn't consider them the same species as they were, or the same race.
Dark stuff.
Yeah, very dark
So
stuff.
they're really quick to discredit that version of science.
Well, once again, you and I are believers. I don't know about you, but I believe that there is no evolution. The Bible is straight up.
Creationism.
Right.
Or monotheism.
It's funny because in episode 1 they touch on a little bit of the bad guy, which it's the bad guy defending, no matter how bad they're trying to make the preacher look. It's the evil, murderous, I want to kill the queen and take over an empire bad guy that's defending the evolution. Although, to be fair, same for the doctor. But what he's describing is adaptation, not evolution. Because there's microevolution, which is more commonly known as adaptation, i.e. the moths had a bunch of, and this was very well documented in the 1880s. The factories were spewing out smoke.
Right.
So the moths were at one time brown, so they could hide it on the trees.
Blend in better.
Blend in. But then they started to turn gray because the trees were turning gray because of the smoke. And that is mentioned actually by Josiah. But it's just basic adaptation, just microevolution.
Selective breeding.
Right. Kind of like we do with
different dogs.
But it's not macro evolution, which is changing from one species into another.
Growing an extra ligament.
Right. It's the adaptation can happen and does constantly. Horses, dogs, things we breed. Stuff like that all the time.
Plant life.
But the macroevolution can't happen, and that's where the whole theory falls apart of evolution.
Of the Neanderthal, half monkey, half person.
Oh yeah, Nimrod. All right. Here's the funniest thing. this serial is very pro-evolution, despite the fact it's the bad guy pushing for it. But all throughout, it talks about the change in the evolution, and this is Light's problem. You know,
Right.
it talks about
Things
that.
keep changing. He's trying to catalog.
Right. But at the same time, they use a biblical name, Nimrod,
Nimrod, yeah.
and Light ends up threatening the earth with fire, which is how God is going to destroy the earth next time.
So
He
you're
did it with the
getting a lot
flood,
of
and
different
right.
each of these two theologies, the themes in the serial.
Right, and the question is did they do that?
And they call Light an angel.
Right, because that's how he would appear at that point. But there's the question: are they doing that to say, hey, maybe there is another point of view to this, or are they doing it more of an attempt to mock? We don't know. I'm not going to assume the writer's intentions, but like we had the racism is bad in that Dalek serial. This serial is stuffed with evolution. You know, like I said, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's very pro-evolution happens.
Yes.
You know, very much so. So anyway, they're at dinner, and they get a little bit of a lecture, and the pastor's just hopefully about to get the explanation of the theories, and the telephone rings.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, damn those infernal telephonic devices. And
ruining these kids' generation. It's always been the phones, man.
I'd forgotten
Staying
that
cell
they
phones.
went back that far.
Yeah.
So Josiah excuses himself, gets up, and goes into the room where the telephone is. And he's like, I told you not to disturb us. And then you hear that gravelly voice, I have escaped.
Yeah.
It's like, we got a problem. Yeah. It's like, we got a problem. Apparently, he absolutely hates the creature, lady, person that we come to know as Control.
Yeah.
Just for whatever reason. Never fully explained.
Yeah.
He just hates her. Like I said, this should have been 6 episodes. He
Does
just
he not
flat
want
out hates her.
the ship being controlled anymore?
Well, I think... Okay.
Because he's going in and he doesn't want the sleeping one to wake up. He's going in and
Correct. And I guess she tried to wake him up at some point.
different parts
And he
of
hates
his
that?
samples for his own use.
I don't know. Okay.
He woke up the Neanderthal and stuff.
Yeah, okay. I'll explain kind of what happens at the end.
Okay.
Like the kind of the explanation I gave you.
Yeah.
Although some of it's coming along in here. Okay, so he goes, oh no, something bad has happened, you know. And the doctor had heard earlier that the light must not be let out and the sleeper must not be awakened.
Right.
And Control's trying to get out, and the doctor goes and he goes, hey, you know, I'd vouch for you and help you with your freedom if you bring the light up here.
Yeah.
And he kind of says that as an aside down the elevator shaft. Be a real shame if we got to see that light coming up here and you know, give you your freedom and stuff and all that.
Yeah. But apparently he's been talking with the controller for a while. Like there's some
Okay.
off-camera stuff that
Once again,
happens.
not explained. Should have been 6 episodes.
Yeah.
We find out later. He says, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Oh yeah, and I'll fix the elevator so you can, because you'll need it to bring light up here."
Yeah.
And he goes and he fixes it later, which we don't see again. You know, it's another one we don't see. Another scene cut for brevity. And I mean, like I said, in the old days, they would have shown everything. Just flat out everything. So you could at least have an idea and follow what's going on.
Yeah.
And of course, so that you weren't so confused, you know? So
Right.
they go back to dinner. Trying to remember what got them away from dinner again that time. Oh.
Primordial soup.
No, that's the third episode. So, Josiah goes to Mrs. Pritchard and says, I would like the preacher to join me in here, and we are not to be disturbed. She's like, oh yeah. So,
it's where the weird banana scene happens.
that's a little later, but yeah.
To Java. He keeps
Yeah.
saying people
So he
come to
tells
Java.
Gwendolyn we're going to send him to Java. Now,
Which
Gwen-
has been hypnotized.
right, Gwendolyn seems like she's a victim in a lot of this, and she
Yeah.
is, but she's also very,
Kind of a villain.
yeah, she's sadistic.
Yeah.
She has zero problem knocking people out with chloroform. She has zero problem stuffing people in a cabinet for years. She has zero problem killing them and sending them off to Java, you know?
Well, they haven't been killed.
Not all of them. But she just seems so gleeful while she's doing it.
Yeah. She's hypnotized.
True. Yeah, we don't know how much of her personality changed due to the hypnotism or to the tragedy she thought of losing her father and her mother.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So,
Dad went to Java.
yeah, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. So, she chloroforms the preacher. And then they put him way upstairs in the observatory.
It's really a sad arc. The whole Java thing.
Yeah.
He hypnotizes them to send their own father/husband to Java.
Yeah.
And then he comes back as him to take his place.
Right, and then after, once again, that last episode, so rushed, we get no resolution of him realizing, oh, that was my wife and daughter. They die before they realize that that was their husband and father.
I thought it wasn't him anymore. It was Josiah.
No.
Smith took the place
Well, no.
of the dad, and the dad went to Java.
No. The father was the Lord of the Manor originally, the one that the inspector was sent to
Right.
to figure out what happened to him.
Right.
But because he was the one that had the invitation
Got
to the Queen's ball or whatever.
Ah.
So he had to be kept alive. But under hypnotism, the daughter thought she sent him to Java.
Ah.
And they never found out they didn't.
Well, that's extra confusing.
Right.
Yeah.
The daughter and mother, once they figured out who each other were,
Yeah.
because of the locket, we don't have a scene, and they never realized that the father/husband is still alive, and they didn't
Yeah.
kill him.
Yeah.
But
They get turned to stone.
yeah, like I said, crazy serial. All right, so okay, so the doctor gets pulled away from dinner. Okay, they put the preacher up in the observatory. Then Josiah goes to talk to the doctor and offers him 5,018.83 British pounds,
That's a lot.
which
of
is probably somewhere in the millions today.
Yeah, it weighs a lot.
No, it's a note. It's a
Yeah.
bank note.
Yeah. Things get heavier in the future.
Back when they were handwritten.
Exhibit A.
Yeah, but he offers the doctor 5,000 pounds to kill Control.
Yes.
The doctor refuses. Then he makes that deal with Control
Yes.
because he's trying to find out who this person of light is. He's trying to find out what in the world is Josiah so afraid of, both in Control and in the Sleeper. And he knows that Josiah is just evil. I mean, offering the doctor all that money to kill Control, and he hadn't seen Control do any harm, you know?
Yeah.
It's around this time that the doctor finds the inspector stashed in a drawer for 2 years.
Yes.
He wakes up the inspector. Snap, 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 yeah. And the
I'm sure-
inspector, what was his name? Inspector what?
I didn't get the inspector's name.
All right.
George?
I don't know.
George Pritchard. Or Josiah Smith.
Okay. So this inspector was sent 2 years previously from Scotland Yard
I didn't get his name.
to find out what happened to George Pritchard,
Right.
who, as it turns out,
Didn't actually go anywhere.
right, it's Redgrave, the hunter, who goes by the other name as well because he's off his rocker. Okay, so the doctor's talking to him, and this guy's been in hibernation or whatever, and so he's eaten like 8 meals in the last 2 hours
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the doctor mentions 11 C's. I didn't know that was a real thing. I thought it was just a
Lord
thing of
of
the
the
Hobbit.
Rings
Yeah, I just thought
I
it was.
just thought it was a British thing. Like tea time.
It is, I guess. I just didn't know. I thought it was like a Hobbit thing because he supposedly eats so much, but
Yeah.
apparently it's a British thing.
11sies.
No, second breakfast.
Second breakfast. 11sies. Brunch. Lunch.
Tea. And then dinner
Supper.
and possibly supper.
Dinner and supper.
Oh my gosh. Okay. If I go get some more ice, are you going to be good to explain what's going on in this?
Not at all. We'll find something to talk about.
All right. Get me some ice, would you please?
Oh, okay.
All right. There are whiskey bottles in the freezer.
I got you.
Okay. All right. In the meantime, off camera, the doctor goes and fixes the elevator. Once again, off camera. We've realized that Gwendolyn is not as innocent as she appeared to be. Not as much of a victim as she's still a victim, but not as much of a victim as she appeared to be. The doctor and oh man, where the hell is Ace? All right. Ace is running around somewhere, and I'm trying to remember where. Ace fell asleep. She crashed out. The doctor was going to ask her questions, but she falls asleep in the chair. The doctor obviously has more stamina than she, being a Time Lord with 2 hearts as opposed to 1. So she wakes up, and it's like 5 in the evening. She got moved there. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to remember what happened to Josiah to make him molt.
Was he exposed to light?
It was that or the steam that
Oh
triggered it.
yeah, that too.
Okay, so
I thought he was just regenerating, like he has been,
well, that might have been part of it.
because he still had the eye sensitivity and stuff.
Right. So
But and then I thought he came back as George Pritchard. But no, George Pritchard wasn't ever actually dead.
right, it was the hunter. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, Ace wakes up. It's 5 in the evening.
I
She was
thought he was like possessing people.
right, but there was no possession.
Yeah.
Except for the mental movement of the X husks that were Josiah
Yeah.
by controlling Josiah.
Yes.
Okay.
That stuff.
Right. It's a bit more I don't know, ESP or something. Okay.
And she puts out the light.
Right. This is one of the, we don't know if any of these are like alien powers, or if it's kind of feeding into the magic does exist in this world as well as science fiction. That's why sci-fi and fantasy are often considered the same genre.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Opposing viewpoints.
right? How did she put out the light? Never explained. Okay, so Ace wakes up and it's 5 something in the evening, Once again, the regular housekeepers are getting the hell out of there.
Right.
Because no one should be here after dark.
Yeah.
Uh,
But the doctor pushes time forward.
he just moves the grandfather clock up 20 minutes. Okay, so at some point...
But then it actually does get dark, or does it?
It does, but the doctor was trying to get the vampire to wake up when he would still be susceptible to the light. Because the doctor saw how susceptible he was to the light when Josiah, the door got opened to the hunter's place, and Josiah, jumped back. So, somewhere in here, Josiah was hurt. Can't remember when or where. But he eventually goes up to the observatory, and he wakes up the preacher.
Yes. Reverend E. Matthews.
Yes, the preacher
Matthews
eats a banana and turns into a monkey. We don't know how this is done. We don't know why this is done.
Because it's funny.
Well, partly because it's funny, partly because they're making fun of the preacher, but also you could argue that it was Survey's job to collect specimens. And this is just a specimen he collected, and he gets this guy out of the way.
Ah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, because Survey was helping to survey the planet, like Control was controlling the ship.
But why do things freeze in the daytime?
Because Josiah is sensitive to the light. Because of whatever form he came from. Yeah.
He's taken like the... Okay.
But once again, how the hell does eating a banana make you a monkey? I mean, we don't know how this is done. This is yet another one of those questions. I could come up with 100 questions, and we just sit here and ask them all day, and there's no answers for them in this particular serial.
Yeah.
Like I said, 6 episodes, you would have gotten them answered. All right. So the preacher turned into a monkey, and it's funny because the preacher's like, "Sir, I see that you are not well." Right before he ends up turning into a monkey and being contained like that.
Yeah.
In a deal. All right. So Josiah,
Light.
yeah, he gathers his group, and they run down to the main hall where the doctor has fixed the elevator and Control is bringing up Light.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the elevator door opens, Control comes out, and it's sort of looks like a kind of a hunchback woman in all these different dirty robes, and you can't hardly see her face. But Control is free now. I get my freeness. And the doctor's like, "Did you bring up the sleeper?" And she's like, "You will find him in the dark." And when the doctor was trying to get to... Oh, that's where Josiah got hurt. When the doctor was trying to get to the elevator, they all turned the guns on him.
Yeah.
All the maids they pop up with revolvers on the doctor.
Yeah.
Then the alarm goes off. The doctor grabs one of the revolvers. No. He doesn't grab a revolver. He grabs
his X-ray.
His Geiger counter.
detector.
He gets his and he puts it in the back of Josiah's head. So they go down, and then Josiah's like, they go down and they're trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And the doctor's like, "Oh, okay, it's a spaceship." He sees the stuff on the screen flashing, and that's where Josiah's like, "Doctor." He pulls out a gun, and "You're gonna help me fix this." And the doctor's like, Ace is like pointing the Geiger counter at him, and he's like, "I know that's a radiation detector. I'm not that stupid." And the doctor's like, "Oh, okay, well, what are we supposed to do?" He's like, "Okay, you're going to mess with the rods, and I'll tell you when." And the doctor's like, "Ace?"
He pulls the gun.
"Ace, when I say do something, you do it."
Yeah.
And Ace was like,
"Follow my lead."
"Thanks, yeah." And Ace was like, "Thanks, doctor." So they remove the kettles, the spittoons, so
Yes.
the steam
could come out again.
hits Josiah,
Oh, yeah.
and that's when he gets injured.
Yeah,
The steam hits him, and that's when he gets injured. And that's when he starts molting and all that.
Yes.
But they all end up getting the heck out of there. And, then the doctor, tells Control, get him and all that. So then Light comes up.
Light.
And
End of episode 2.
end of episode 2. And all we have coming out of the elevator is this big beam of light. Everyone else is turned away, and they're just looking into it. Alright, so episode 3. Light appears. And he's
questioning his form. Why am I in this earth?
Yeah.
Which means he was supposed. Okay.
Okay.
He cataloged all of the species on Earth, and they went into sleep so the Control and Navigator could take him to the next planet to catalog things.
Don't know.
Because maybe he cataloged things before as helpers like Navigator and Control, and that's where Nimrod comes from.
No, Nimrod comes from here.
Yeah, but he remembers him. He's
Right.
not upset that he's awake.
No.
Awake
Okay.
specimen.
So what happens is this 6'3" tall guy,
Yeah.
with great hair,
He goes
older.
this form, am I still on Earth?
Right, looks about my age, 55 or so.
Yeah.
He's wearing golden robe,
Yeah.
and he's glowing, just effervescent, just glowing, and he literally is light.
Yes.
Um,
An angel.
So yeah. So the inspector's there. The inspector's going, "What the heck's going on?" And the inspector's like, "Well, who's that?" And Ace says, "An angel,"
Yeah.
which is one of 3 different references back to the Bible and stuff. So I don't know if they're trying to say they can coexist. I don't know, whatever. Like I said, I don't know the intention of the author. I doubt the author ever wrote it down.
Theories.
Yeah. But anyway, so Light is almost a godlike creature in what he can do.
Yeah, it moves at the speed of thought.
Yeah, I thought I was going to say speed of light.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah, speed of thought. And this guy, so Control's down there. Everyone's there, period, except the preacher. He's gone. But we don't necessarily know that yet.
Right.
But they're all down there in the main hall, and you've got on the stairs, already previously armed, the 4 maids, along with Josiah and Mrs. Pritchard.
Right.
And Light's like, "Oh, this world. Why am I in this form? Such a strange world." And Josiah nods to one of the maids, and she moves forward, and she's about to shoot Light. And Light just kills her, just by thought. Just electricity. She's dead. And he's like, "What a waste. The weapons won't work anyway around me."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh, geez, then why'd you kill her?" And the doctor's like, "No." He knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's our first catalog death in this whole serial.
It was.
Yeah, episode 3. But we get several more.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is the episode that should have been at least 3. So the actual daytime's coming up, and hastily Josiah, Gwendolyn, Mrs. Pritchard, and the maids all scurry. Okay, the maids go back in their cupboard, and then Josiah, Gwendolyn, and Mrs. Pritchard go up to the observatory.
So maybe Navigator doesn't like light because his eyes are sensitive to light. That's why he's trying to take over the show and keep Light asleep. and encages controller to not wake up Light.
Okay. Josiah / Survey, not Navigator.
Josiah Smith.
Right,
Yeah.
/ Survey.
Survey.
You call him Navigator.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
Survey.
Survey. So, but anyway, they all go up, and somewhere in here, it's been established that Josiah has been evolving through several forms. During the day, while the bad guys were all asleep, except Light, who's kind of going around doing things, the inspector's like, okay, I need to find it. Look at this place. And he goes, yeah, there are more locked doors in here than whatever jail. But he and Ace managed to find and go up to the observatory. Because he's tried the door, but then it opened.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, in the meantime, the doctor notices that since Light is now around and has woken up, that Light is giving life to all the stuffed animals, all the stuffed, not stuffed animals as in a doll, but what's the word? The word when you
Taxidermy?
Yeah, all the taxidermy animals, because they're all over this
all the
house.
hunting trophies. And
The hunting trophies, the moth specimens, the roach specimens, all the birds, all these things are coming to life.
Yes.
Because of Light. And once again, never explained, except...
Even the ones that are dead are coming back to life.
Right, a small, brief mention between Ace and the doctor, where the doctor's like, yep, Light's giving out some, invigorating vibes. Can't you feel it in great? And it's the only mention of it. It's never explained.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of mentioned in passing. So these things are coming to life. In the meantime, Josiah wakes up, and he has metamorphosized again. He is now... The doctor tries to get him with the light, but he's now no longer
His eyes are
problematic with
sensitive.
the light. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's finally a proper Victorian lord or whatever,
Yes.
So they end up capturing Ace. I think the inspector got out of there. They end up capturing Ace. And Light goes around and starts doing stuff. Oh, no, that's during the day before the Josiah wakes up. There's the scene where he takes the inspector, turns him into primordial soup.
Yeah.
Just, ugh. And there's a scene where he's like, Earth, I cataloged Earth. I spent centuries cataloging Earth. And he sees one of the maids. Come here. I need your help. And he dismembers her.
Yeah.
Not on camera. But you see him holding her arm later on camera.
Yeah, very creepy.
But yeah, he dismembers her trying... I wanted to figure out how it worked.
Yeah.
Like we're just specimens, animals that he can just do whatever the heck he wants with,
Yes. Creepy.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of goes back to actually defend what the preacher was talking about how Josiah and the Darwinian theories want us to live with the animals in nature and not be lords and masters over it, because they thought we were just another species.
Yes.
And that scene right there, well, never mind. Actually, that sort of defends the other position, actually.
Yeah.
That sort of reiterates Josiah's of we should work with the animals and stuff, because if we consider ourselves lower and above them, that's exactly what we would do
Yeah.
to the animals
Yes.
if we think we are. So, never mind. Strike that. Reverse it. But yeah, he kills a couple of maids, and he kills the inspector. Then, here in episode 3, Josiah tells Gwendolyn that Ace is going to go to Java.
Yeah.
And Gwendolyn's super happy to send Ace to Java.
Yeah.
Gwendolyn grabs one of the chloroform handkerchiefs, and she's running after Ace, trying to chloroform her so she can send her off to Java, basically kill her. And there's a big cat fight that goes all over the place.
Yeah.
Alright. And this is after, is this before or after the dinner?
That's a good question.
You know, it's don't eat the soup.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no. This is before the dinner.
Before.
So, Control keeps wandering around, and she's looking at everything, and she's like, I want to be ladylike. I want to be ladylike. So we don't know if she's kind of evolving into a proper Victorian lady.
Yeah.
We don't know if this is just the result of her being in captivity for so long.
Right.
We none of it's explained again. Nothing. So, interestingly enough,
I kind of like the pacing.
in that third episode was way too fast.
It's fun though.
Well, yeah, but once again, you didn't understand it until I explained it.
Yeah.
And I had to watch it 5 times to understand it.
That's half the fun.
Okay. Well, wait.
You just YouTube.
The whole thing we do
so-and-so
here is
ending,
explain these.
explain. Yeah.
So, the hunter goes to her, gives her some nice jewelry, and he's using his knowledge of Africa,
Yeah.
because Zanzibar he mentions later.
Proper lady.
Yeah, I give
Proper
you
lady like.
I give you a gift. In this case, nice jewelry for a proper lady.
Now you
And
pay
now
me.
we talk. And now we share information.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once again, this is a very short scene. Should have been a little longer with more depth, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So the doctor's running around like a chicken with his head cut off. He's trying to help Ace. He's trying to find Control. Because Control is like, the doctor promised me my freeness. And Light's like, that's not his to give.
Yeah.
And so the doctor goes to Control, and they're in a bedroom. Control is putting on makeup and a dress, or she's already put it on.
Proper lady like.
Yeah, proper ladylike. And the hunter's in there, and he's like, don't worry, we'll get you all set up, and you'll be ladylike. And the doctor comes in, and she's like, you don't take away my freeness. No, don't take away my freeness.
Yeah.
And she jumps out of what is assumedly a second-story window or a third-story window.
Yeah. And then she lands in another window, breaking up the fight.
Well,
in between.
we don't see anything that happens. It's not a continuous shot.
No, it's not.
She runs out, and we find out later.
She runs away.
Right. Later on, she's like, because I guess she's always been in or part of the ship. She's like, I was in, the sky went forever. And I went out into the nothingness, in this world of nothingness, and this empty everything. And she's used to the small confined spaces. She's not used to, like those people in Room. The little...
M. Night Shyamalan?
No. It was a movie where a lady and her kid were held in a room. This kid lives his entire life in the room, and they escape, and then the kid gets to see the world, and he almost can't handle it, because it's so big.
Yeah.
Because all he knew was that room. Same scenario here, where Control's like, so empty,
Big place.
so big, so empty.
Yeah.
And we don't see it again. Once again, another scene that would have made it a little better, but she ends up coming back and jumping through a second story window somehow? Not explained.
I thought she jumped out of the.
She jumps out of a second or third story.
Yeah.
But when she jumps back in, she jumps into a second story window because they're up the stairs where the bedrooms are fighting Gwendolyn and Ace. And then Control comes in and Ace is like, help me, Control, help me. And she ends up helping and stuff. And then they run off and escape. And in the meantime, the doctor's looking for Ace and he walks right past the room where they're fighting. But there's one of the maids standing outside guard, which they've done the whole time.
Yeah.
And once they kind of subdue Gwendolyn, Control runs out real fast, and then Ace follows her, but she grabs the maid and throws the maid in before she locks the door. And then later on, we see them breaking through the door a la Here's Johnny
Psycho.
in The Shining.
Shining. That one.
All right. Oh my gosh. Okay, so
Psycho's the one with the knife.
yeah, in the shower, and Shining was the one with the axe through the door.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. During this, the necklace, it's somewhere in here, gets ripped off of Gwendolyn. And the doctor opens up the pendant.
The locket.
The locket, that's it, the locket. And there's a picture of her and Mrs. Pritchard. Turns out the head mistress or the head of the household staff is the mother of Gwendolyn.
Kind of breaks their mind control.
Right, it breaks their mind control. They go to each other. The doctor finds Mrs. Pritchard. Gwendolyn ran to her bedroom and starts crying. The doctor finds Mrs. Pritchard, shows her the locket,
Yeah.
breaks the mind control. She runs off and goes to Gwendolyn in her bedroom, and she's like, Gwendolyn, Ma! Gwendolyn, Ma! Gwendolyn, Ma! And they hug, and then Mrs. Pritchard gets on one knee in front of Gwendolyn. She's like, Gwendolyn's like, what are we gonna do? She's like, well, we've done some very bad things.
Yeah.
We're a couple of lost souls. And then Light shows up and he's like,
Everything keeps changing.
yeah, you will never change again. And Nimrod walks in the door right before this. And Light turns them into statues. Changes them to stone.
Yeah.
And Nimrod looks at him and goes, they never did anything to you. Why'd you do that? In the meantime, Nimrod was recognized by Light as a specimen, the last Neanderthal specimen that he collected back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And Light was like, how long have I been asleep, Control? How long have I been asleep?
Yeah.
So Light's he's going off his rocker almost as much as the Hunter.
Yes.
I like that one line from the Hunter when he was in the woman's boudoir. Of course, if she'd been a real lady, I wouldn't have been in her boudoir.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay, so we've lost the inspector. Oh yeah, and when they find the not quite animated as of yet Gwendolyn, Mrs. Pritchard, and Josiah, they also find the preacher in the monkey thing in the cabinet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've lost the preacher, we've lost the inspector, we've lost Gwendolyn, Mrs. Pritchard. Let's see, and then what we have left, this moves so fast. So the doctor then is like, okay, they all head to dinner. They all go back to dinner. And the doctor tells Ace, don't drink the soup.
Right.
Yeah, don't have the soup. He knows already, although you don't know how he knows, that it's now primordial soup, which is from the inspector. But how the hell he knows, we don't know. Not explained yet again. So they're at dinner, and you have Josiah, who we now know as Survey, because he's addressed as Survey by Light.
Yes.
And we found out that there's an assassination attempt that's going to happen on Queen Victoria, the crowned Saxe Kogan or whatever it is. That they're going to attempt to assassinate her, and we find out that
boom, boom, boom.
Right, the hunter Redgrave is taking Josiah Smith to this ball, which is apparently the whole reason that Josiah chose this place or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Chose to do this to the ball so that Josiah can assassinate the queen. Assassinate queen, not be killed somehow, equals take over British Empire. Who knows?
Something like that.
None of that's explained again. But the hunter has somehow gotten so much better. The only thing I can assume is it's the exudance of life that Light gives.
Yeah.
That's helped everything.
Maybe.
And that's also, I think, what helped Control get better. You know, I think they improved because of the life essence that Light was sending out. Once again, not explained. So Redgraves has taken a fancy to Control, so he gives her the invitation. And Josiah's like, we had a deal, no. And she's like, and she's talking properly now. There's a scene, I forgot to mention, where Ace is teaching her.
Yeah.
The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain, except she doesn't get it right. The rain in Spain goes mainly down the drain.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did that for copyright purposes or what, or just to say Ace wasn't perfect with it. I don't know. She's like, no, this is mine or I burn it. And a little before this, we had a scene where Ace freaks out, confronted by all the now waking up taxidermy animals.
Oh, yeah.
And she drops to her knees and she's doing this, and there's like red stuff going on, a red filter, and she's going a little crazy. Yeah.
Can't move.
And it turns out that in 1983, not 1883, when she went into this house, she torched it because she felt the house was evil.
Yeah.
But we find that out later when she yells at Control not to burn the invitation to the Queen's ball, because that's what she did.
Yes.
And Doctor's like, finally. Alright, so they're like, okay, Josiah, you've got nothing left. You have no hand left to play. And besides, your guest of honor did not show up for dinner. And then that's finally when Light shows up. And Light's like, I have figured out the only thing to do with this earth is to return it all to primordial soup. And he lifts the ladle out of the soup.
Yeah.
And he's like, ugh. And he's like, that used to be the inspector. Yeah, I turned him into primordial soup. Yeah. And then he puts his finger in it and tastes it.
Good soup.
Yeah. And the doctor's like, oh, you change. You always change. And the doctor walks out into the main hall. And I don't know where this house is, but this is a great house.
Mm.
Doctor walks back out in the main hall, and he's doing a soliloquy.
Oh, it was in Perryvale. The house.
Well, that's in the show. I don't know if that
Oh,
that actual
set.
set house
Oh.
is in a town called Perryville. It's probably not. It's probably a made up town.
Yeah.
But the house is gorgeous.
Uh-huh.
So the doctor starts talking to Light about, you changed your mind on this. You changed your mind on that. Besides, you didn't catalog everything. You didn't catalog the dragons, or the bandy snatches, or the griffins. And he keeps going through these mythological animals, right?
Uh-huh.
Although, oddly enough, dragons are in the Bible.
Yeah.
And he keeps going through it. And finally, Light's like,
Wendigos,
yeah, Wendigos and this and the other. And,
jackalopes.
yeah. And one weird one I haven't heard of. But then he goes, okay, so, and he's like, I must complete it. You can't destroy the earth until you complete your survey.
Yeah.
I must complete it. I must complete it. And where do I find these? And then the mathematical formulas start showing up on the stained glass at the top of the
Right.
main stairway. And Light's searching through it. In the meantime, Light's glow diffuses into nothing.
Yes.
He stops glowing. He's no longer as light. He's no longer as light-like as light.
It's kind of silvery.
Yeah, and the doctor keeps talking to him. He's like,
It's like,
you fool. You know, it's like you blundering idiot. You meddling. You know, I would have gotten away with it. One for you meddling kids, kind of. And
you quite annoy me.
yeah, and Light's freaking out over all this, thinking that he missed stuff, that the doctor just is garbage. And then Light freezes as he's trying to figure this out. In the meantime, okay, the rest of the party that's left, which is Ace, the Doctor, Josiah Smith, Control, the Hunter Redgraves, and Nimrod.
Yes.
I think we're missing a couple of maids somewhere, but they kind of just disappear.
Okay, pretty much.
Okay, unless he tore them apart too. They, Nimrod comes out and he goes, he threatened to destroy us with a fireball. Well, don't worry, he's frozen now. But he said it before dinner.
Yeah.
So they all run down into the basement to try and stop the fireball.
Yes.
Okay, once again,
Which
this
is the ship taking off?
it's not explained again. Once again, not explained.
Imagine.
So, like I said, this last few minutes should have been a friggin' episode to explain everything. But the Doctor and Ace, Nimrod, Josiah, the Hunter are down there in Control. And somehow, Control overpowers Josiah.
Yeah.
We don't know, it's not explained how she does it. We don't know if it's a mind thing. We don't know if it's ESP. But somehow, she says, oh, now you're not going to change. You're going to devolve and you're going to lose your old forms. And she puts chains around him.
Yeah.
And Ace is like, oh, they've switched places. And Control leads him into the same cell that she was in.
Yes.
And you're like, well, how'd she do that? We don't know. It's
As
not
long as-
explained. How'd she do that?
As long as she gives him a copy of the Times.
And breakfast.
Breakfast. Yeah.
And once again, no clue. Okay, so, and you're like, okay, what are we going to do with these characters? What are we going to do with the explosion? What are we going to do with Light? And it all wraps up so quickly, because literally the Doctor and Ace are running. The characters are now running everywhere.
Yeah.
The Doctor goes, oh, how convenient. The ship needed 3 people. And look, Nimrod, Control, who probably is taking her old place,
Yeah.
and the Hunter just happily want to take the ship out into space and be its crew.
Yes.
And I'm just like, the whole universe to explore, and I'll be light years away from Zanzibar and stuff like that. We just settled these 3 characters, including Neanderthal, couldn't exist really well in the modern world, and we'll just take them all and they get to take the ship. Oh, and by them taking the ship, they're going to use its leaving and it won't explode. There's no fireball on Earth, and that's really wrapped up in this last 2 minutes. Boom, 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 boom. And then the Doctor and Ace run up, and the Doctor's like, "Oh, they're already gone. There's no explosion. They've already gone the speed of thought." Not explaining how part of the ship that needs to be somehow piloted by the angelic being of light.
Yes.
Gets piloted by a Neanderthal. Well, Control at least knows how to work some of it.
Yeah, sure.
If not all of it. And the Hunter. That's not explained. Not explained anything of the Hunter missing his wife and kid, who are now dead, which he doesn't find out. They don't find out he's alive. And the Doctor and Ace run into the main hall, and Light's like, and then he just disappears. And the Doctor goes, "Oh, he dissipated. He basically killed himself because he had no imagination and couldn't understand the change in nature of evolution." And apparently it happens a lot faster on Earth than it does on other planets, according to this serial.
Oh.
Because other forms that Light had found, like Survey and possibly Control, on other planets apparently evolved at a much slower pace, but on Earth it just happens so fast, according to the serial. And then the Doctor's like, "Okay, Ace, what'd you think? Now you have more information." And she's like,
Smith was evolving pretty quickly from husk to husk.
"Yes, once again, that's never explained."
Or like a moth.
Once again, never explained.
Yeah.
We don't know why. Okay, so essentially,
He was some sort of species that Light probably took in a previous survey. Kind of like how he wasn't alarmed by the Neanderthal being awake because he takes... And then he took control from somewhere.
right, but we don't... Okay, first of all, if he needs those 3 people to fly the ship, how the heck did he get them? The other ones.
The ship moves at the speed of thought. But then he got a surveyor to help
Right,
him survey
and he
the
needs
planet.
control. Okay, so the full extent of Control and Survey's roles
so he
are
can
never
go to
explained.
sleep in between planets.
But they weren't between planets. Hey,
Right.
so
He had just finished the planet, or
Right.
so he thought.
Right.
So he went into sleep. That's why he's disappointed when he came back out. He's like, "Are we still on Earth?"
end of episode 3. Okay,
I wish I'd blown it up.
yeah, and Doctor's like, "That's my Ace," or whatever.
Yeah.
No, he says Wicked.
Wicked.
All right,
Wicked.
so essentially, after you watch it enough times, what basically happened was sometime in the very distant past, very distant Neanderthal days past, let's say 8,000 years or something, according to their timeline, several hundred million years or whatever. Okay,
Something like that.
something like that. Somehow, Light, the Controller, and Survey showed up on Earth. Light was doing a big survey with the help of Survey of all the life. But by the time he got done, a lot of the life had already evolved. For some reason, unexplained, they all go to sleep.
Right.
For some reason, unexplained, in 1881, Survey, at least, wakes up. We don't know if the Neanderthal, Nimrod, and Control wake up with him, and we don't know why. Not explained.
Nope.
But he ends up finding out he's under the home of this place. He takes over, confuses the Hunter into believing he's looking for somebody else, which turned out to be the Hunter.
Yes.
Decides that the world the British Empire is not strict enough, is too lazy, and the world could be run a lot better by him. Finds out this guy's a lord, hatches the plan to somehow go and assassinate the queen once this lord gets an invitation to the ball. Hypnotizes the daughter and the mother, the daughter to believe the father's dead.
Yes.
And he just scrambled the brains of the father.
Yeah.
The mother believes she was the head of the house maidservant. And has been doing that for 2 years. And then right after that lord fell off the map, the inspector comes to see, and he knows them. He knows these people personally. He gets hypnotized, hibernated, shoved into that drawer. Then the doctor and Ace show up. All this stuff ensues, and the people who did bad things die, and for some reason the inspector and a couple of maids.
Yeah.
We don't know how the maids are hypnotized to sleep during the day, standing up in a cupboard.
Well, I'm
Stuff like
assuming
that.
it has something to do with the stasis chambers they have on the ship for the specimen to freeze them in time.
I don't know, but that would also help explain the inspector in the cabinet.
Yeah.
And this Josiah Smith, i.e. Survey, because he was so evolving himself and into the evolution, because he saw so much evolution, jumped on Darwinian's theories and kind of spread them around as well. And that brought the ire of the preacher. And then all the events of this happened, and of course, 100 years later, Ace goes into the place, feels the alien evil, and burns it to the ground.
Wish I'd blown it up.
Yeah, but I wish I'd blown it up.
That's nice.
All right. Any questions of this insanity?
I didn't know exactly what to ask, but we covered pretty much all of them. Oh, when they first arrive parking the TARDIS, he accidentally parks the doors up against the wall.
Pretty close, yeah. And she's like, "You're still horrible at parking."
Yeah. And what was they had a bet going on or something? Talked about Cthulhu, the mental break, Ghostlight, party down.
Yeah, there's so much of that that's problematic.
See, a lot of it got answered, like the navigator's eyes sensitive to light.
Survey, yeah.
Survey.
Josiah Smith.
Oh, and the clock didn't actually change the time of day when he changed it?
No, he just moved it.
Okay.
He didn't change the time, which is why the sun was still up. And why Ace thought she could lift the blind, didn't mention that, lift the blind to kill him because he was so sensitive to light, but he had evolved past being sensitive to light.
Yeah. We talked about the speed of thought stuff. We talked about how he has a companion to do all the dirty stuff, like pick up the gun, hold people at gunpoint. Just because he's too high and mighty to...
Yeah.
No, Ace. He gets Ace to...
Oh, the doctor?
Yeah.
He initially pulls the quote-unquote gun on Josiah.
Radon detector.
Yeah, the radiation detector. He initially does it, but yeah, the doctor is not being as kind to Ace as he was in the first season, and that was leading into that whole the other one stuff, which they never get to because it was canceled at the end of the season.
We have any Doctor Who news this week?
Okay, well, this month. It's been 4 weeks since we had an episode. Alright, the Smugglers came out in the UK. Sorry, the Savages came out in the UK. We here are waiting on our release of the Savages, and we're waiting on the release of one of the Blu-ray box sets that they've already gotten over there. But there's a release over there coming out. It's April, May, June. There's 3 releases coming out, 2 here and 1 in the UK, and that's all the dates we have. But we'll get the Savages, and one of the Blu-ray box sets, and I forget what they're getting.
Cool.
I think the Christmas episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But we are still waiting on the 2023 Christmas episode.
They're quite behind.
Right. Series 13. I know. 14. The 2024 Christmas episode. And then Series 15 is going to start showing soon in the UK. And of course on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting to get it on DVD and Blu-ray. So,
It's going to be
once again, they might have actually canonized Scream of the Chocolate. And I just want to see Series 14 so I know whether or not to add that into the episode list, because it's being canonized, but I need to see it with my own eyes, you know? Then I have to adjust a whole bunch of episode numbers by one.
Yeah. You could also do that other adjustment where they had that 4 episode. It's A, B, C, and D. And then through the episode, I'll count off.
You're talking about Trial of a Time Lord.
Yeah.
Where
Here
over
in
here
America,
it's
you
4
got
different
your-
serial numbers, where over there
Yeah.
it's 1. Yeah. There's also Shada,
Shut up.
which is counted over here, and I'm not sure it counted over there because it was only never broadcast over there, although it was broadcast in Canada.
So we're going to need 5 different binders.
No.
And then maybe a 6th one for Canada.
No, I'm running my own canon. They can go bugger off. You know? Oh, man. All right, but that's it for the Doctor Who news. We will, of course, once the season is over, season 26, we'll go ahead and choose our favorite.
Yeah.
But it won't be Ghostlight.
No? I thought it was pretty good. I liked it.
Alright.
Could be in the running.
Okay. No. Next week, The Curse of Fenric.
Fenric.
The Curse of Fenric.
Is that a vampire one or a werewolf one?
Zombies.
Zombie.
Zombies.
Cool.
And it is generally considered the Seventh Doctor's best serial.
Oh, nice. Well, you have that to look forward to. Stay tuned.
Let us know what you thought of Ghostlight in the comments, and if you understood it at all before you watched this, because it is nuts.
We should get one of those catchy titles like Ghostlight Explained. Finally.
Finally. I'm sure somebody's done it somewhere. Like you said, Doctor Who magazine. Boop, 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 boop.